Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Democratic debate for the mayor of City of Baltimore. I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group, and we are glad that you're with us tonight. Candidates, we're glad, happy that you are here too. We're going to have a great time sharing information, sharing your views. People need to hear what you have to say, and I'm glad to be able to lead this debate on getting your word out there. As we lead up to the primary election on May 14th, I want to encourage everyone that's watching, I want to encourage you to vote. But before you vote, it's important to know where the candidates stand on the issues. And I've talked to many voters that are simply uninformed about the issues, and in many cases, uninformed about the candidates. And in the city of Baltimore, many citizens are not aware that there are more than two candidates running for the office of mayor. One of the purposes of tonight's debate is to allow you, the voter, the citizens of Baltimore, to meet some of the other Democratic candidates running to be mayor of Baltimore. My hope is that after meeting these candidates and learning their views and some of the key issues, you will look at them more closely and research them before you cast your vote. Today's debate is produced by my company, the Leon Thomas Group. No one has paid us to do tonight's broadcast. We did not ask for money. No one offered money. There is no money being exchanged for tonight's broadcast. My team and I are doing this because we want voters in Baltimore to be well informed. And one of the ways to do that is to bring candidates to you other than those that are on TV every day. Our company provides opportunities for college students and recent grads to gain valuable hands on experience in broadcasting and related areas. Jasmine Pollock is working tonight's broadcast. She is a recent graduate of Warner University in Florida. She has her own sports show. It's called First Impressions Sports Talk. You can learn more about her on her website, jasmineonsports.com. We have Cole Brennan, a student at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh. He's working with us as well. And also in production are their two mentors and instructors with the company, Mr. Orange Stewart and Dr. Jay Racinko. One more shout out about tonight before we get started. On most Tuesday nights, I'm in Community Circle. That's our church's version of Bible study. I'm not there tonight. I miss my church family. Or if I'm not at Bible study, I'm on date night with my wife. I want to give a shout out to my pastor, Pastor Dane Caraway from Church at the Well in Towson. And I also want to give a shout out to my wife and thank you, honey, for your love and support in everything that I attempt to do. The Leon Thomas Group financially supports an organization called Racquetball Revival. That's a youth racquetball program that focuses on one thing on teaching kids racquetball, but we also offer tutoring and counseling. You can learn more about that by going to that website, racquetballrevival.com. Okay, let's get into our conversation. And those of you viewing, it's important that you know a couple things that we've discussed in the background. First, all of the questions that I'm going to pose to the candidates were submitted from the candidates. The candidates gave me the questions, a list of questions, and I have selected 9 questions of which we will have conversation around. All of the candidates were emailed the questions at 12:59 a.m. on Monday morning. For most questions, they will have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to respond. I will make sure that they don't go over that 2 minute and 30-second time frame, except in one question where they will have 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And I will make sure that they stay on point and answer the question that is asked. With that, let's start now. We're going to have a 2 minute opening statement. And in this opening statement, candidates, please tell the audience about yourselves and why you want to run for mayor, why you're running for mayor, why you want to be mayor. Our first introduction is Uncle Wayne, Mr. Wayne Baker. Mr. Wayne Baker, you have 2 minutes for introduction. Go ahead.
2 minutes? No. Actually, I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City because Baltimore City is a mess. From the inside out, it's a mess. Every single where you look, anger, killing, despite, it's a mess. I decided to run because God said it's time. I'm going to take the time from the inside out to make a difference. Trade schools, opportunities. It's time. And I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor. I'm going to show you in this debate why it is a time that we have to choose. Listen, it's a whole lot of things you can do. It's a whole lot of things you can say, but putting together a plan for Baltimore City is what I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. So let's get started. Again, I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City. So let's get this started.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Next, we have Mr. Keith Scott. Mr. Scott, you have 2 minutes of introduction and opening remarks. Mr. Scott, time is going. 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Keith Scott, and I'm running for mayor. This fact that Black as a people is not existent anymore because generation after generation we taught to separate from our people and fight that individual struggle. I want to get back to our people and our progress as a people. I've been doing security for a long time. I'm a protector. Give me a chance to protect you because government, as we see it now, does not have your best interest. Simply, you see all the crime and the poor schools. If we had the capability of taking care of our own, you would see most of our problems disappear. My website is listed below. Check my website out, and I have a video that you would be interested in. Um, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott. The next candidate up, giving their 2 minute introduction and explaining why they want to be mayor of the city of Baltimore, is Miss Yolanda Pulley. Miss Pulley, you're up. 2 minutes introduction.
Hello, my name is Yoland Pulley. Thank you for that question. Anyway, um, growing up in the worst parts of Baltimore City, I have seen nothing change in the city, and I'm 50. From being a child, being raised in Baltimore City, going through the educational systems, nothing has ever changed. Nothing has ever thrived. I've seen it go backwards instead of forward. I'm the daughter of a Black Panther and a granddaughter of missionaries. So I have done nothing but public service my whole life. I run an organization called People Empowered by the Struggle. We're out here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And all I deal with all day, every day is trauma. Matter of fact, while I'm sitting on here now, I'm being texted and called, people need help navigating through trauma. And, you know, we failed a lot of people in this city. And if we all have to take responsibility, whether we're individual, a nonprofit organization, or we're sitting on city leadership. We need to fix a lot of things. As being the candidate that want to change a lot of things when it comes to a Black Baltimore, because I'm unapologetically Black. I want to create an atmosphere where we are included. You know, everybody always talking about inclusion, but unfortunately, it does not look like that for us. And I want to change the dynamics of Baltimore, starting from, you know, the educational system of us knowing who we are, all the way down to, you know, neighborhoods and crime. So again, my name is Yoland Pulley, and I'm not running to be mayor. I'm running to be your next public servant. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pulley. Next up, giving 2 minutes, 2 minutes for an introduction and to explain why you want to be mayor, is Mr. Wendell Freeman. Mr. Freeman, the stage is yours. 2 minutes, please.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you, Leon and Uncle Wayne, for giving this opportunity to individuals like us who say who are not qualified people to run the city of Baltimore. First and foremost, my name is Wendell Freeman, and I want to be your next mayor. But the real reason why I want to be a next mayor because I know I'm a change agent to move our city to the future. When we look at our city in the past 20, 30 years, I ask you, what has changed? Right? Has your life gotten better? Right? Has the quality of life gotten better? Right? If the answer is no, just like me, it's time for us to move forward. It's time for us to stop electing people from the city council pool and thinking because you came from city council that makes you a qualified candidate. No, I'm a father of two. I'm a CEO of my own company, ABM Marketing Group, a Fortune 500 company marketing for Fortune 500 businesses. I know what it takes to manage a city and get it moving forward in the right direction. I'm the same person who lost my best friend at 13, 14 to gun violence. Right. I'm the same person who has been through the broken education system, who could have kept a lot of my other friends alive if they would have been alive. I asked Baltimore, when are we going to get sick and tired of the sick and tired? Right? When are we going to say that enough is enough and elect somebody who is you? And that's me. Again, my name is Wendell Freeman. I want to be a mayor because I know I'm the change agent to move our city to the future. It's time for a change, Baltimore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Next up for introductions and opening statements, Ms. Wendy Bozel. Ms. Bozel, you're up. 2 minutes. And please unmute. You are muted. Please unmute. Ms. Bozel, it's still muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Now, I think I'm unmuted now, hopefully.
All right. Production
I'm Wendy
team,
Bozel,
start the
and I'm
clock
running
again,
for...
please. Production team, thank you. Go ahead.
Is it working?
Yes, you're good now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Wendy Bozel, and I'm running for Baltimore City Mayor. Currently, I'm a Baltimore City teacher, so I see firsthand the problems we face. We cannot continue to ignore the crisis in our Baltimore City schools. Crime and education go hand in hand. Currently, we have 58% of our students who are chronically absent. We do something to make sure our kids stay in school. And like Uncle Wayne says, we need to incorporate trades in our school. And one way we can do that is in California. What they do is they let kids go to school in high school until 11 o'clock. And then after that, they can go to a job, go to training. And so they can still make some money and learn a skill, but also get their high school diploma. So we can incorporate things like that in our Baltimore City school. Also, $7 billion budget, but we have schools with no heat, no air conditioning. I worked in a school for 3 years with no heat. What we need to do is to run our schools centrally. Right now, we have $1.7 billion and have them decide what to do down to their payroll. We need to change that. I'm also for trying to incorporate problem-oriented policing. We address the problems so that we don't have crime. Then I want to do some things to bring more money into our city. We can have Preakness, have a whole week of celebrations throughout the whole city so the whole city can benefit from that. We can run our trains to 10 o'clock, and
Okay, the
we need to
2 minutes
get a
has
bridge.
ended. The 2 minutes has ended in introductions. It's time to move on to our first question. The first question is, and this is a two-part question. Considering the collapse of the Key Bridge, if elected mayor, what would you do to improve traffic and help those affected by the collapse? Mr. Scott, you're first for this one. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, please. 3:30 on this one. Mr.
And
Scott, you are muted. No, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
oh, oh, thank you very much for inviting me to this debate. The Key Bridge. I mean, it's not much we could say about the Key Bridge. I mean, traffic is pretty much controlled by the transit, and there's not much we can do, but give fair warnings of closed streets and find alternate routes to get to the places that you want to go to. I would feel that, I mean, being more informed of different routes to get here and there would be more accessible to the people. That's my answer.
All right, Mr. Scott, that's it? Okay.
That's it.
Next up for the same question. Next up for the same question, Ms. Pulley. Ms. Pulley, the floor is yours. 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
So when you asked about the Key Bridge, you have to understand the role and responsibility of what city government is actually responsible for. So when we're talking about, he can, the mayor can offer resources, and that's what was done. He also can, sue on behalf of the city services that's going to be lost because of import and export of transportation of services, and that's what he has done. Unfortunately, when it comes down to transportation and everything like that, the mayor really has no input on it because it's a federal agency. It belongs to Westmore, and you know, thank God for the president who put in billions of dollars to help us out so the state won't fall under hardship. But like I said, if we wanted to talk about resources for the individuals who was affected by the Key Bridge, then you go down, and if I was mayor, I would go down there and I would make sure that services, wraparound services was provided, food resources, um, any type of education. Maybe I would help bury the family members. But like I said, you have to understand the role which the mayor can play in the Key Bridge situation. And fortunately, Brandon Scott has done his job when it came to that.
All right. Next up, thank you, Ms. Pulley. Next up for the same question is Mr. Freeman. You're up. 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Mr. Freeman.
Thank you for the question. Um, first and foremost, my condolences again. Uh, I said it already, but I'm gonna say it again publicly to the family members that we lost. And I apologize, audience, about my sound so far. But again, listen, that is it's a tragedy. What happened. When you talk about six people, I don't care about the race, but when you talk about six people who have lost their lives, just doing their work, I thank God for the people who was able to stop the oncoming traffic for coming on the bridge because it could have been a lot worse. But as mayor, I agree with Yolanda to an extent that the current administration has done for the most part what has needed to be done in order to not only rebuild the bridge but to make sure that these families don't suffer more than what they already have. Also, with finding the people who didn't make it, and on top of helping them bury the family members, me as mayor, I will be actually going to the funerals and really dealing with the family and mourning with them and not just talking about it. I feel like that would be the only difference for me. And again, that's what I would do as mayor. That's just the obvious thing to do. As far as the traffic concerned, I feel like no disrespect, but I feel like we're still mourning people who lost their lives a couple of weeks ago. I feel like traffic is going to get better. Again, once the bridge is back rebuilt, but for right now, we have to understand what happened and understand what needs to be done. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time to get back where we need to be, but we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Next up on this same question, 3 minutes, 30 seconds, is Ms. Bozel. You're up, Ms. Bozel. 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Hi, thank you. It's very devastating when that bridge did collapse and how quickly it did. One thing that we can do to alleviate traffic is we can have some electric ferries that would carry cars until the bridge is completed across the waterways. And this also will help with some tourism too, because ferries can go to places, some of the islands that we can only reach by boat. So it could be twofold. It could help with tourism to make some more money and actually alleviate that traffic right away. Let's just get some ferries. We're the only harbor city with no ferries, which is crazy that we don't have those to now. We could also have ferries that run across where the Bay Bridge is also to alleviate some of that traffic. Then we have to look at the mayor isn't looking at the businesses that are affected. I'm talking about restaurants, other businesses that are around that would depend on the work from the barges, from the people there, trucks, everything. So we have to encompass more of that. I think we need to have a town hall. We have to incorporate every business, community organization, and let's address all the issues. But if we don't know what the issues are, we can't. So we need to have a town hall that'll address everything associated with the collapse of the bridge. Let's bring communities together and businesses, and let's sit down and see what are we missing. And I'm sure the community can let us know. I have been running a fundraiser to try to help the first responders because they're still working 24/7. I've been bringing them some granola bars, waters, things like that. And also, there's a group of people that we were forgetting about. There's 200 men that are stuck in our harbor right now because they can't leave. Their barges have unloaded, but they can't leave. And they can't even get off the boat because they are not vetted. So I've been working to get DVDs. Everyone has an extra DVD laying around and some books, things that they can read because they can't even get off the boat. So I'm hoping to try to help get some internet service for them too. But right now they're stuck on the boat for who knows how many months. I do like how the mayor addressed that we need to first save the people, find them. And now we're looking because the families are really, they want the bodies of their loved ones back. So we found one more today. So hopefully there's 2 more. And I really like how the Catholic Church has stepped up because they were all Catholic that were working on the bridge, and they have provided free funeral services for them. So I'm pretty excited about that. But one thing we're missing is, why did it take so long for those workers? They were working in the dead of the night, doing a job that none of us would do, filling in potholes in the middle of the night. So they didn't have the same frequency as the boats have, and that's crazy. So they didn't even find out that they were in jeopardy. A couple seconds would have made a difference. So we need to revamp how alerts are given to workers that are on the bridge.
Okay, time is ended for that one. Let's go to Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, same question for you. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, Mr. Baker.
Feel that way. This bridge situation seems to be totally different of how I'm feeling. I have sympathy for the ones who've passed away, yes, but let's dig a little deeper. That port where they had the contracts of those jobs, we talking about how they did us. Let's go back to the port. On those contracts, on how they did our people and how once again have gotten away with those contracts on how they did our people. Now, since those contracts are over with, let's renegotiate those contracts. When that bridge is going to be rebuilt, let's renegotiate all those contracts. When these trade schools that I'm going to put together in Baltimore City, when we finish with these welding students, they're going to help build the bridge. When we do these contracts from the port again, we're going to be involved with these contracts. See, God does everything for a reason. I'm not glossing over the death of 6 people that died, but do you realize that could have been 100 times worse? A lot of times with a bridge fall like that, there is so much worse. So now that this has happened, that is over with, let's look at it deeper. Let's get some contract jobs for us that's in the inner city. Let's look at rebuilding the bridge. We're talking about renaming the bridge, yes.
Mr. Baker, Mr. Baker, can I ask you to keep it really focused on your answer? The question is about traffic and those affected. We're going to have some questions about education in a minute.
Listen,
we'll have
you
a
may not
question
like
about
my answer, but it's my answer. So if you didn't disturb the rest of them, don't disturb me. You may not like the answer, but it's my answer. And I'm going to finish it. Yes, we're going to find ways to get around that traffic. This burns me up. I couldn't sleep at night when I heard this. This is what I'm going to do as mayor. So you have to listen whether you like the answer or not. This is what I'm going to do because my brothers are suffering in the inner city because they need jobs in a way of living. When they fell off
Mr. Baker, again, the question is about traffic and those affected by the collapse. There is an opportunity in other questions. You received the questions like everyone else did in advance. You know the order of the questions. There are questions that will allow you to address the issues you are bringing up in this question. Please stay focused. We're talking about traffic and those affected, not education, in this question.
Those contracts, getting in and out is the time for us to strike. This is the time to strike while the iron is hot before they renegotiate those contracts without us. Those jobs this time has to involve us because we can have a better way of living if we get those contracts this time. This is what I'm saying. To get traffic around there, we're going to find a way to get back with that traffic. But those major jobs to rebuild that bridge is going to be very important the way facts of life for us. That is my answer towards that bridge. It's no need to rename that bridge and worry about the traffic if we can't get more bang for our buck with that bridge this time. That's very important to me. So that's my answer. See, I didn't use the time earlier, so I want to use my time for where
the time doesn't carry over. The time does not carry over. If you don't use the 3 minutes, there is no credit. This is not Southwest Airlines. And Mr. Baker, we can't hear you now because as we talked about, when you're off camera, when you're not on the main screen, you're muted. There'll be plenty of time to bring up the things that you were talking about in that answer, though. Our next question is this. And again, I'm reminding everyone to stay focused on the questions. And in regards to rebuttals, there will be a rebuttal period at the end once all questions have been asked. The next question is this. Some say that 35% of Baltimoreans live in food deserts. As mayor, what will you do to eliminate food deserts in Baltimore? First up on this question is Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. What will you do to eliminate food deserts?
Do you know how? Bringing trade schools, when we bring trade schools or major trade schools, when you bring them around, then you bring major markets. You won't bring major markets into the inner city if you don't bring something around it. That's just how it is. They don't come. They come up with reasons of theft, that they have to bring extra security. We've tried all these things with major markets into the inner city. And these ports that you see now, they don't want to come to bring the food. That they come to the ports, they take those foods and go out into the county markets. They bypass the inner city and go straight to the county, because they claim that theft and that they had to add extra. But when you put major trade schools where a student comes in and out the trade schools, they'll bring major markets around that same area, along with other major entities too. So trade schools bring other entities around that same area. So bringing trade schools into the inner city part also bring other markets to that same area. So I'm working on that too as we speak.
All right.
That's my talent. So you
All
can
right.
go to another one.
Thank you. Next, same question. Next up for this one, 2 minutes, 30 seconds is Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, you're up. And you are muted.
Oh, got me?
You're good. You're good now. Go ahead.
Okay. 35% of Baltimore's in food deserts is totally true. See, that's another problem with not able to create wealth for Black people. My plan is pretty much a reparation plan, giving the community the property to they develop to actually create supermarkets in their communities. When you do that, the community will benefit both by having a supermarket and the money that comes out of the supermarket. This is how you keep the wealth in the community, not outsource the money to other neighborhoods or states. If you can give the people the property to develop, they create supermarkets in their areas. So that's my plan, doing my reparation plan for the people of Baltimore City. Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, same question, Ms. Pulley. 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
So if we don't have it, then we create it. At the end of the day, we can create co-op smart markets. These co-op smart markets we put in four corners of the city. And these are like warehouses that we house the food in. And we also can pay our young people to go in. It's like a multi-phase system. So the multi-phase system actually comes in when we're talking about, delivering food to our senior citizens. It'll be a delivery option. It'll also be a catalog option, like back in the day when Sears used to do. And they fill out these forms and they call it in, and we package the food together. And we will not lose any money due to stolen goods, because you will not be able to shop in. We'll be like the Amazon of Baltimore City Foods. So it will all be delivered. We pay our young people to go in and use their bikes or cars or whatever the case may be, and they check on our senior citizens, and then they report back to us. And we can also have them take out trash. They can do community service within this, and we also can create urban markets for our city. So it's not like these things cannot be created, because they can. And that's what, under my administration, that's what we will do. We will create co-op smart markets, and we will integrate. And matter of fact, it can be a part of 365 day, what is it called? Like Youth Works. We can implement Youth Works into these programs to take our young individuals off the streets. So we do have a plan put together for smart markets and urban farming.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pulley. Next up, same question, Ms. Bozel. Ms. Bozel, you're muted.
About what Yolanda is saying, I'd like to look into a little bit a little more about that. I also want to be a part of the FDA. We weren't a part of it. We haven't tried to even do some of the initiatives they have. It's called the Healthy Food Initiative. And the Healthy Food Initiative works with the local stores that we do have and helps them by providing food and items that store might necessarily be able to afford or be able to offer at a lower rate. So we look at what stores are available in the area, and at those stores, we will provide food that the community needs at a cost that they can afford. Because right now, a lot of these small markets, they're not able to buy like a big grocery store chain can. So they don't have the best prices. So this is a way we partner with the FDA. They can provide food and look and see what the needs are in the community. So that can start small. Something you do right away to provide food for people where they live in the stores that we do have. Then FDA offers a grant. I'm sure we can apply that. And it's $4 million to put grocery stores in areas that need them. But then once you get the grocery store, we still have the problem of transportation. So I want to look into something we can do right away is provide free transportation through Lyft or Uber for our elderly, for people who don't have cars, so they can go and access a place to get healthy food and have a way to get there and get back without any cost. There's two of the factors that prevent people from getting food. One reason why a lot of the stores don't open or have closed is because they have had theft from the consumer and from their employees. So they really weren't making any money. So that's when I'm looking into what Yolanda has suggested, that hopefully we can open up stores that we don't have to worry about any theft, that it's a way that we can bridge that gap. And then if we can get crime under control, hopefully we can open up some more schools, more stores. So thanks. I think working with FDA, trying to look around the box, I think we can solve the issue of food deserts.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, this is your question. 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you for the question. This is a very important question. Two things that we're going to do in the Freeman administration in the first 9 years. What I hear is that, people have a lot of great long-term solutions. This is what we're going to do right now. Baltimore has over 13,000 vacant homes/businesses, right, in each neighborhood, in East Baltimore, West Baltimore, South Baltimore, Northeast Baltimore. So what we're going to do is two things. One, we're going to do is we're going to open construction in the first 90 days. And what we're going to do, we're going to build something called corner markets. And what that's going to be able to do is that's going to be a gateway for every resident in the city of Baltimore to be able to get fresh food and vegetables. Because it's insanity and it's a crime that, we don't have these in each and every neighborhood. We have the buildings, we have the money to do it. We just have to get it done. It's no reason why, people who don't have a vehicle should have an issue getting fresh food and vegetables when they're paying taxes, when they're going to work every day, when they take care of their kids, So that's what we're going to do on my first 90 days as the Freeman administration. But once we do that all over the city, and once we cure our crime problem, then we'll be able to get those big markets to come into the city to really handle the food as a problem. So, that's my plan as mayor. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. The next question. Here's our next question. Question number 3. This one will be 2 minutes. 2 minutes to answer this question. What steps will you take to improve air quality in Baltimore City? What steps will you take to improve air quality in Baltimore City? First up on this one, Ms. Bozel. Ms. Bozel is first up on this one.
This is really dear. Hi, this is dear to my heart because Baltimore City asthma rates are double that of the national average. And that is really caused by Bresco. Bresco is an incinerator. If you see when you go down 95, there's a smokestack there. And what we do now is we don't recycle. What we do is we take all of our recycling to Bresco and they burn the plastic. They burn anything that we have thrown away. And that's what causes high cancer rates and the asthma that we've seen. So we have to get rid of Bresco. So how do we do that? Well, right now, Baltimore City has offered a grant. Hopefully they're going to take it. And this grant is for $4 million, and it's to build a composting plant right in Bowley's Corner. And what it's going to be is a transformation of our trash into trying to do zero waste. And we can do that because 90% of what we throw away and what we're sending to this incinerator are things that can be compostable. And by having a composting factory, we'll be able to make black gold and what materials that are used by farms and that we can make money off of. And it also will, in Bresco, we maybe employ a couple hundred people. At this factory, it'll be more like 1,500 amount of people will have jobs, good paying jobs. But what we have to do now is start educating the public about composting. Right now, we just have a few places to do it. We can use some of the money that we have and direct that to getting people composting their little wagons ideas and teaching them about composting. Because once we can get rid of 90% of our trash through composting, we can close Bresco and not pollute our air anymore.
All right. Next up for the same question. Next up for the same question is Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up.
A lot of the things Wendy said, I understand, but a lot of things are testing. We waste a lot of money on testing. I've researched a lot of these things, and we got a lot of stuff we're going to test. Millions of dollars on tests, which we could use that money on so many very important things that we need to do in Baltimore. This is a research I've done very little on because every time we go into the air quality of Baltimore, it is all tests, no proof, nothing is proven, but it's test after test after test. But my list of the most important things that we need to be working on, air quality in Baltimore right now is just not on the top of my list by far. And some of these things are not proven. They are all test. So that's where I'm in on it. I really don't care. For now, it's just not high on the list, especially when the death toll is so high in Baltimore. So I'm going to leave the last few seconds and bow out gracefully.
All right, thank you. Next up is Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, same question. 2 minutes.
It's so unfortunate that I can't debate my Mayoral brother right now because I was sitting here itching with that response. But again, our air quality, and I just want to do a quick story out of my 2 minutes. I do direct marketing for Fortune companies, and what happened was I was working in South Baltimore, where they have some of the worst air quality in the city. And I asked, what politician that's right now that's running for public office lives in South Baltimore, right? Their conditions there is awful. I was talking to a resident who got cancer because of the air quality and of what he was consuming in his own home. So when we talk about the air quality, it's three things I'm gonna do really quickly as mayor. For one and foremost, we gotta do a full audit and investigation on the water, on the air quality in the city of Baltimore. People are dying and getting cancer from the air that we're breathing. But you know what? These politicians don't care because they don't have to breathe in it. So what I'm going to do as Mayor Freeman, that we're going to really investigate the air quality company that's in South Baltimore. But not only that, we're going to find them a extreme amount of money because I think about how many family members have lost their lives due to the air quality that no other mayor has done in my lifetime. So we're going to really get the air quality in control in Baltimore, but it's a lot of factors that I can't really get into in this question. But that's really my top thing that we're going to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. Scott, I don't believe we've come to you for this one. Is that correct?
Um, well, the air quality is not on my high list of problems of Baltimore City. So pretty much, I'm not even gonna answer that question because, like I said, it's not one of my lists on high on my list of problems in Baltimore City. So I just probably just abstain from that problem, that question.
All right. Let's go on to question number 4. Question
It,
number 4.
I didn't answer.
Pulley,
I'm
right?
sorry, Miss Pulley, did we not come to you on that one?
No, sir.
I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong list. You are correct. I'm wrong. I screwed up. I apologize for that. Ms. Pulley, go ahead and let's start her time over again. Go ahead, Ms. Pulley.
So what we can do is we can go after, stricter emission policies to reduce the air quality, the poor air quality in Baltimore City. But we also can promote more public transit. Those who want to cycle, they can cycle. The ones who want to carpool can carpool. If we want to bring back the trolley system, then we can do that. We can implement um, not more green spaces, but clean up the green spaces that we have, plant more trees so they can be collected by the trees can collect the pollens and the dust off of the trees. Enhance waste management in more effective way, and go out there and educate the public on how to effectively recycle, because it's still being all mashed together. A lot of poor communities don't actually recycle their recyclable goods. We can reduce the waste by educating the public, raising awareness about the impact of air quality pollution, educating them on the ways to reduce their carbon footprint that can lead to behavioral changes that benefit air quality. Invest in renewable energy, support and develop the use of renewable energy sources such as solar, wind power, can reduce the resilience on fossil fuels, leading to a lower air quality level, and actually collaborating with more regions and cities to address the air qualities together. Another thing that we need to do is that we need to look at the people that live near the train stations that's putting out all this coal and stuff in the air, all this pollutant in the air. We need to actually look at um, removing those people from those areas, and so they can have a healthier quality of life too.
All right. Thank you. And again, my apologies for not calling on you. I was looking at an incorrect list. Again, my apologies, Ms. Pulley. Question number 4. Question number 4. The question is, and again, to our viewers, these questions were submitted by the candidates. The candidates received the questions in the early morning of yesterday, April 15th. The 4th question is, fatal shootings are down in the city, but rape, stolen cars, and assaults are on the rise. What is your plan to address crime? For this one, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. This is a heavy question. I want to allow 3 minutes, 30 seconds for the response on this one. This is a heavy question. This is question number 4. Mr. Scott, you are first for this one. Go ahead. 3:30.
Fatal shootings are down. Okay, whoever made that up, I don't know. I mean, where y'all get that poll from? Because I just had a shootout in my neighborhood just last couple of days ago. So I really don't believe that. Car thefts and rape. Okay, it's impossible to have a crime plan because some of that, when you got people surviving off a crime, you're gonna have this happening. Okay, we need to give people legal ways to create money. Just like that, we have to be able to create our own money, to put our own people to work, to educate our children. Until we actually get that done, you're gonna have these problems in crime. I mean, people only trying to survive. And if crime is how they survive, we're gonna have to change this. We have to give them another way to make money and another way to survive. But I think the fact that creating wealth as Black people, we could be able to take care of these problems that we have in the city. Believe it or not, I mean, we need to work together as a people instead of we tackling these problems individually. Um, like I said, I do have a plan to address those problems, and I'm gonna just let it go from there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scott. Next up on this one, next up on question number four, it's Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up. 3 minutes, 30 seconds for this one, Mr. Baker. Go ahead, sir.
Well, this is very, very important. When they say crime hits down, that is the worst statement ever. And shooting, when you need to go to shock trauma, and I guess Wendy can say this, when you go down there and see they're saving people more, shooting ain't stopped. They're around my way shooting more. It's like they have life-saving techniques are better. That's what's saving them because they're shooting more and they're not pop running. They're shooting to kill and make sure it's just they're saving lives more. Now, the preventing measure we need to, because when a person feels as though they have a reason to live, they don't want to die and they don't want to take others' lives. The reason the crime rate is so much because a person don't have a reason to live. So they want to die and take other lives too. That's the reason. I'm from the inside of Baltimore City. I see it all day, every day. So, me as mayor, changing the dynamics, opportunities, a trade school, giving someone a trade and a reason to live, HVAC technicians, electricians, those types of trades where you're able to accomplish the task. I'm opening up 4 trade schools with help through the task. Okay, for example, if you come through the trade, through the door as a trade, as one of the, if you want to come in, come through the door, we group you up with uh, okay, with someone to help you through the trade. Let's say if you have a problem with substance abuse, anger management, mental health, we walk you through there so you can complete the program. And we group you up with someone to help you through the whole program. If you have a reason to live, you don't want to kill. That is the reason when they're out there breaking those laws, it's repeatedly. We're not looking at the reason why they do the crime. Their crime plan is to punish them for doing the crime. So your crime plan is to just repeatedly to punish somebody repeatedly and don't know why they're doing the crime. So once again, you're going to just punish them over and over and over. Punish the teenagers over and over. That's the only solution, and it's not working. The crime is not went down. So this year it went down. Next year it's going to go up. The next year go down. Next year go up. We're not keeping tabs. We have no solutions. It's time for opportunities instead of crime plans. Crime plans do not work. You have to change the dynamics, or we're going to be in this forever. Because guess what? It may not be you in the mess this time, but it will be the next time. So let's do some changes. Let's pull together, come up with
All right.
ideas that work.
Our time has ended for that one, Mr. Baker. Thank you. Mr. Freeman, you are up 3 minutes, 30 seconds on the same question. Mr. Freeman, 3:30.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Uh, you know, I just want to do a couple of stats real quick. Right now, Baltimore is a dangerous city in America. Right. Number two, 80% of the crime that happens in Baltimore City happens in 25% of the population's neighborhood. But do we know what neighborhood that is? That is the income neighborhood. That is the East Baltimore. That's the South Baltimore. That's the West Baltimore. This is what we have to do. There's a two-part crime plan that we have. In order to stop crime, you have to stop the poverty. right? So we have to fix poverty. We have to stop incarcerating our black men and just throwing them out into the street, even our women, throwing them out into the street, throwing them to the wolves, and just saying F them because they have a felony. No, what we have to do, we have to give them the opportunity to have a career for them to make a six-figure salary because that's what it's all about. If we want them to stop shooting and robbing and killing, we have to invest into people the right way. And that is what I'm going to do as mayor. But not just that. Right now, we have a 700 officers short. As mayor, I want to work to hire 500 officers. And I know you may ask, how are you going to do that? This is how I'm going to do that. Our budget is almost $500 million. The mayor of Baltimore is the leader of the city. The leader of the city can take money from the police budget and post ads to hire officers. But the problem is our current politicians get paid more to keep us down than to save us and to then protect us. That's going to end of the Mayor Freeman. We're going to have the officers that we need. We're going to hire public safety officers because the problem that residents have is that our neighborhoods are not safe because they don't know who the officers are. How are we going to report a crime if we don't know who the officers are patrol our neighborhood? That is the issue. So as mayor, we're going to have 70% officers out the car, 30% protecting our neighborhoods because we have to get the crime under control. We have to get carjackings under control. We have to get rapes under control. We just had a young lady raped the other day by a 70-year-old man that could have been her grandfather. Enough is enough. We have to get aggressive and make sure that we are ending crime. I'm not saying I can stop everything, but what we will do is invest in the people the right way and give you opportunity. I don't negotiate with criminals. I'm sorry. So I don't care if it's a quality life crime. I don't care if it's a murder charge. I don't care what it is. If you do the crime, you get caught and you will get to do the time. Thank you very much.
Mr. Freeman, thank you. Next up on this same question is Ms. Pulley. Ms. Pulley, you're up. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, please.
Right. So when I don't like the word. I don't like the word play game. So when we're talking about non-fatal shootings, we're talking about homicide, and nothing but a failed homicide. So we're talking about failed homicide, quality of life issue. So under my administration, we will address the quality of life issues by holding people accountable. You can't just go out here willy-nilly and think you can rob a bank better than Billy the Kid. It's not going to work. People have to be held accountable for their crimes, period. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how young you are. You have to be held accountable for your crimes. Another thing is that we have to implement strategic plans on how to take drug addicts and everything off the street. We're talking about quality of life issues. Quality of life issues, it surpasses, homicides and break-ins and cars and everything like that. If we give these people opportunities, we give them the opportunity to either go through drug court or face the consequences of staying on the streets. You cannot just be going out here getting high under our administration. Another thing is that we have to address crime as a mental health crisis. And we want to build a 250 bed. We want to bring back the Walter P. Carter mental health facility with 250 built beds with trauma response in it that's going to deal with the quality of life crimes. As far as homicides, just like I'm agreeing with Wendell, we will not negotiate with criminals. That's not going to happen. And I asked my daughter the other day, true story. I asked my daughter the other day, I said, all the stuff that I have done as a teenager, young adult. She said, yes, ma'am. I said, well, I was held accountable for my crimes, right? She said, absolutely. I said, did you think that made me a better person or a worse person? She said, it absolutely made you a better person. So you have to hold people accountable for whatever they do. And we have to put love back in the household. Under my administration, we will tackle these issues together. We will go into each neighborhood and find out, why are you doing what you're doing? And then if we will fix it. We will fix it. But we have to figure out why they're doing it. We got to stop throwing all our eggs in one basket and thinking that, it's a one-stop shop for all crimes. It's not. Crime over East is not the same as crime over West. Carjackings and murders is not the same. Everybody has a different issue of things that's being done. So, you might need an ostrich egg. I might need an Easter egg. Who knows what egg I need? We have to address it individually and bring it together collectively to answer these, to solve these problems. Thank you.
All right. And everyone, please keep me honest here to make sure I did not miss. Ms. Bozel is no longer in the stream. Message to our production team. She has emailed me. I've asked her to provide a phone number. Once I receive that phone number, I will communicate it to a member of the production team. Will you please then get in touch with Ms. Bozel and let's see if we can get her back in here. On the question regarding crime, I believe that our 4 candidates here have answered that question. Would you all please give me a thumbs up and confirm that you have had an opportunity to answer that question? Good. Thank you. We're about halfway through. We're going into question number 5 that ties in to the other question. Question number 5 kind of ties into question number 4. The question is, and again, these questions were provided by the candidates. Baltimore is 700 police officers short. If elected mayor, what will you do about this? Repeating, Baltimore is 700 police officers short. If elected mayor, what will you do about this? We're going to allow 2 minutes, 30 seconds for the answer to this question. Question number 5. Mr. Freeman, you are first. Question number 5. Go ahead. 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Thank you for the question. And I kind of touched on it on the last question, but I'll say it again. What we're going to do is that as my administration, we're going to work to hire 500 officers my first year. And how we're going to do that? Like I said again, we have a $500 million police budget. We're going to take money out of that budget and post ads. And I think that's really the leader entrepreneur in me that thinks that knows that we can solve this problem by really recruiting the right way. I just feel like right now the current administration and no administration before me has actually put in the work to bring the office shortage to end. I'm going to end that. But also not just that. We're also going to have public safety officers who are going to patrol neighborhoods and residents going to know by name. Because we know that if residents know who patrol their neighborhoods, who's making sure that the public is safe, they're going to be more willing to solve these crimes that we continue to have in the city of Baltimore. So that is my plan on what I'm going to do to attack the officer shortage in Baltimore. Thank you.
Next up, same question, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Mr. Baker, you're up.
Oh, absolutely. In the trade schools, once again, the 4 trade schools, inside those trade schools, we will have police officers that are off duty, no uniforms. You're in the trade schools where you will get to know the students inside the trade schools, because this is the problem that come in. The officers really never got to know who we are. That's why when you come into the city that you're supposed to be protecting and serving, and you don't even know who we are, that's when you come in with this one mindset as if we are animals in a zoo. You got to change that. When you get a chance to see us in a different surroundings, working and going to school, then you will see and get to know us. Then it's a different atmosphere. Then when you come into work, then it's a whole nother look. There's no need of hiring more police officers and get the same results. That's the thing. So if we're going to add more police back into Baltimore City, they need to be from the city, first and foremost. I've never in my life seen Baltimore City police work here, but don't live here. To supervisors and all. That's part of the problem. If we're going to do this right, we need to do it right. That's together. So again, with the trade schools open, they get to come and work and volunteer at the schools where you really get to know us. That's very important. So when we hire the extra ones or the ones that we say that has to fill a quota, they really got to get to know us. In order to work for Baltimore City, you have to live in Baltimore City.
All right, thank you. Next up, same question, Mr. Scott.
Security. Wherever you see security, you see crime goes down because some of that presence is always there. So my plan is pretty much using security, bring back the SPOs to patrol the streets and use the police as backup. Because you put security in places, designated locations, you will find the place. Like I said, if the neighborhood is safe, is secure, crime is pretty much is easy to pretty much deal with because that presence is there. So we have so many security officers in the city. We probably have more officers than police right now because simple fact people do not want to be police because the reputation of police. So we're going to use security to secure the places that police cannot since they show short. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Ms. Pulley, you're up. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, so I have a whole crime plan. So we create trained enforcement with units within the police department to combat youth crime. Only as police training is geared towards adult. Increase involvement of the parents and the youth. We're going to create the Get Out the Gang programs, Big Brother and Sister programs, academic programs so they can get their GED and further their education. Shootings and homicides, we're going to increase enforcement on youth and violent crimes. So we can do this when it comes down to police officers. Let's put it like this. When it comes down to police officers, we have to go back and renegotiate their contracts. They're at a 25-year, a 25-year retirement. We're going to bring it back down to 20 years. And we're also going to increase their wages that they are receiving. And some good police officers was actually let go. So we're going to actually talk to them about bringing some of those back. And, the way that they're hiring force, like people with minimum to no criminal record, they won't hire, some of our returning citizens. Sometimes some of our returning citizens can actually be police officers. We also want to put programs in school, high schools, for first responders, police, fire department, and police, fire department, and EMTs. We want to put these programs back in school to get children connected back to the police department. People don't want to work with who they don't trust. So we have to build the bridge back between communities and the police department and bridge them back together and put officer friendlies back on the streets. And that's what we're going to do under my administration.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I think everyone has had an opportunity to answer question number 5. Let's move on to question number 6 out of the 9 questions that we're going to have some answers on. And then at the end of those questions, we're going to have an opportunity for some rebuttals and feedback. The next question is, and this one is a question that I hear about often because I work with folks that don't live in Baltimore, and they hear things about our city. And when I posted on LinkedIn that we were having this debate this evening, someone said, the city needs help. All I hear is bad things about the city. I did not pose the question to them on social media. The question that I'm going to ask was posed by one of the candidates, and it deals with perception. This is question number 6. The question is, Baltimore is known for crime and violence. If elected mayor, how will you work to change the perceptions of that? That's the question. The order for that one, that is question number 6. Ms. Bozel, I see you are back with us. Thank you to our production team for getting you back in. Ms. Bozel, were you there? Were you here in time to hear that question? Were you able to hear that question, Ms. Bozel? All right, we're going to get Ms. Bozel's technical issues worked out. We're going to go to Ms. Pulley. Ms. Pulley, the question is yours. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, please. 2:30. Thank you. Ms. Pulley.
Well, the perception is that we do have a high um, crime rate in Baltimore City, but it's also a reality. So how do we change it? We change it when we change the dynamics of Baltimore City, when we start making people responsible for their neighborhoods and what's happening in schools, um, our children being safe in schools, and you know what liability and responsibility falls on police, city hall, and residents. So we have to change the perception that we have to be held accountable. It's just that simple. We're responsible for our children. If they don't go to school, where we go? We get sent to court. So we have to be responsible for what our responsibilities are in Baltimore City. Um, it's just like with the crime plan and the youth violence and education. It all goes hand in hand. We have to peel back the layers of the onion and figure out what quality of life issues that people are actually having. Under my administration, we want to change the perception by changing we want to change the reality to making more people homeowners by us being the only candidates that's talking about reparations for Black people through housing and through education. People tend to take care of what they own, not what they rent. So we're going to implement reparations for Black Baltimore, and then once we do that for our individuals, then we'll branch it out to everybody else.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Pulley. Next up on that question, and I'm going to ask the production team to not show comments, please. Please do not show comments. Next up for this question is Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, you're up. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, please.
Thank you for the question. Again, when we talk about perception, right, we got to live in our reality. And I actually went over the facts earlier of our city and where we are. And the reality is where we really can go. And where we really can go is to the top, and we can be the city where people talk about. People talk about, damn, that crime is low, the education is high, that poverty is the best in the country. And how we do that is by investing into the people the right way. Listen, a lot of candidates have great long-term solutions, but the solution right now is to invest into the people right now. We have 800 Black men that are incarcerated right now. We have to bring them home, and we have to give them an opportunity to be that HVAC, that plumber, that electrician, that person that Mr. Wayne talked about as far as the person who's going to bring our city forward. Because we have a lot of work to do in the city to get us where we need to be, but we need the people from Baltimore to really put the work in, and let's do it together. That's how we change the perception. We change the perception by not electing a corrupt mayor. We change the perception by electing somebody who actually cares about the city and who's going to do it the right way, and who's going to make sure that from day one until my end of my term, I'm going to walk with the people. I'm going to talk to the people, and I'm going to listen to what needs to happen in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Next up on the same question, looks like Ms. Bozel, she was going to go first on this one. Let's see if everything is working fine. Ms. Bozel, the question is yours. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, please. Ms. Bozel.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question? Because I couldn't hear any audio. I had to go
Okay.
in and out a couple times
Sure.
to get the audio working. And now I'm outside in my car. And now everything seems to be working. So thank you for all your help.
Thank you, production team, for working with Ms.
Yes,
Bozel to get her
thank you.
back in. The question is, Baltimore is known for crime and violence. If elected mayor, how will you work to change that perception?
Well, thank you for that question. As I've said before, crime and education go hand in hand. So, in order to get a hold of crime in our city, we have to look at our education system. But more than that, I really researched who are the criminals, who are the inmates in our Baltimore City prisons. And 60%, it's a pretty high number, come from Sandtown, Winchester. So, what we have to do, first of all, is try to help the prisoners that we have, the inmates. Let's make sure that they have a job and training so that when they leave the prison system, that they have a job, that they have a place to live. These are two of the main reasons for crime to be committed. I'll just never forget when I walked into one of the students I had to teach in the hospital. He had been shot and he's paralyzed. And what he said to me is, you failed me. And we have failed these students. This student was absent for 100 days. He was 2 years behind in school. And now he's shot and paralyzed. So he was on the path to crime. And what we need to do is to address the issues to the root causes of crime so we can end crime before it starts. So what we have to do is not incarcerate more people. We need to look at who are the people that are in our jails. And right now we have 5,000 people in jails right now because they cannot pay a bond to get out. That's craziness. So we have to reform that and get rid of the bond system. And if you have a low-level crime, I don't want you in jail until your trial because you can't afford it, because then you lose your job. You become more ensnared in the crime in our city. So let's end that. Then one thing that'll really help is it's called the pipeline to prison. I want to make sure we have 2 teachers in every classroom from kindergarten to 2nd grade to make sure that no kid entering the 3rd grade is not able to read and do math at grade level. The next thing that we need to do is to really work on just making sure that everybody has served their time, that they can get that off their records.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Next up on the same question is Mr. Scott.
Well, it's not a perception, it's the reality. The reality is the fact that we are 65% in this city, but we control nothing. We own anything. We don't own anything. And for all of us to change the condition, we have to have the people have to have the power to create wealth. Until we have that capability to solve our problems in our communities, it's going to continue being the same reality. Conditions have to change for the people of Baltimore. I'm talking about not just people who have jobs. We have jobs and we cannot benefit of nothing our taxpayer money is paying for. We have struggling working people that need help. Until that's changed, we're going to be still suffering this one-on-one survival act and never work together as a people. Until those issues are addressed, I can't see anything changing. We got to tackle the big issue of working class people with no power to help themselves or can get help from anybody else. So my plan do address those problems, and you can see those plans on my website. That's listed below. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up for this one. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, please.
Absolutely. Trade schools in the inner city. This is how to change the whole image. Think about it. Absolutely. The trade schools in the inner city. Take the abandoned houses, The students work on the abandoned houses, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, auto mechanic, diesel mechanic, CDLs, dirt bike training, motorcycles training. After they complete the program, we sell them the houses for the same price the city attained them for, dirt cheap. So see the difference? Now they're certified in the program and they own the home. There are no more abandoned homes because now they own them. They're certified and a homeowner. See the new look of Baltimore City? Now they're homeowners and they're certified. That's the whole new look of Baltimore City. The markets are now into the areas of the trade schools all the way around. This looks different because now we own where we live. It could be done, but it has to be done together. See, you need a mayor that's in charge. We have to pull together and get it done. Listen, our ideas can work, but we got to pull together and make it done. Nobody is better than anyone else. We got to stop calling people criminals because you have to remember everybody is one mistake of being the same way. So stop calling people criminals or felons and this and that. Let's get together and get this thing started. We're in this mess together. We've got to get out of it together. Again, I'm Uncle Wayne. I got the ideas, but we have to do this together. That's how to change the dynamics. This is a beautiful Baltimore, but we got to do this together.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baker. There are 3 questions remaining. On all 3 questions, we will allot 2 minutes to answer, which will then give us some time near the end in case you'd like to offer some rebuttals or challenge what one of your fellow candidates has offered as an answer or a proposed solution. We're now on question number 7. 2 minutes to answer question number 7. Here's the question. Some say that 58% of students are currently chronically absent in Baltimore City schools. What steps would you take to get students back to school? Question number 7. Our first response will come from Ms. Pulley.
Again, we have to understand the role and responsibility. We have to understand the role and responsibility of what the mayor is responsible for. The mayor cannot hire or fire the CEO. He's only in charge of who he elects towards the board. So if we have 58% of our students chronically absent, then we have to go back and ask ourselves, what is the board doing besides trying to criminalize children being absent from school? So, did anybody ever ask why these children are absent from school? Because they just didn't wake up and say, well, hey, I just don't want to go to school today. Children are not feeling safe traveling to, from, or in school. That's why some children are chronically absent. I know because I get these phone calls under my nonprofit organization where children are sitting beside murderers. They're riding buses with murderers. If we I don't care if a child is absent from school if they get to wake up and live the next day. We have to fix that problem first. Why aren't children being safe in school with a $1.6 billion budget? I'm not sending my child to school if he's not safe. If you cannot guarantee my child's safety, then guess what? It's going to be a 60 or 70% chronically absent from Yoland Pulley's child. I still have skin in the game. And I know because my child was one of those ones that was up being in danger on last year at Forest Park High School, and the school did nothing to protect my child. So don't ask me about chronically absent students when we're not addressing their safety issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pulley. Same question. Next up is Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, you're up. 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes.
Thank you for this question because this is a very important question. 3 things that I'm going to do when I'm elected mayor. First and foremost, I agree with my fellow candidate about the safety. That is number one. And I know a lot of people won't agree with this, but we're going to have to arm our officers in school. We have too many young people bringing guns to school. We got too many young people breaking, fighting. We got too much going on in school. So we have to bring armed resources back in school, but not just that. It's at a point where our young people are bringing weapons to school. So we have to. As mayor, I want to make a policy where we need clear book bags. We need to be able to see visibly. I'm not with the whole, mass incarceration, them walking through the metal detector, but they will be warned every day because we cannot have more shootings in school. We cannot have our young people bringing weapons to school and thinking it's acceptable to throw them all around like it's a toy gun. But not just that, we have to change the curriculum. We didn't have a question about the CEO, so I'm not gonna get into that. But we got to change the curriculum of the school. We need what Mr. Wayne was said as far as HVAC, plumbing, electrician. When we put these in school at an early age, starting from third grade, and we teaching these children from grade high, that we're going to get them the ability to want to get this education. On top of bringing sports program, bringing mentors back in program, bringing mental health and social workers back into school. These are all things that we can do to bring our kids back. But last thing I'm gonna do real quick, we're gonna bring. We're the only we're the largest city in Maryland, but we don't have school buses to take our kids to school. We got to get our kids off public transportation, and that's going to make sure our kids that we know that they get to school by bringing yellow key buses for them in any district where you live to be able to get on there to be able to ride to school safely. Thank you.
Next up for this question, 2 minutes again, is Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up. 2 minutes, please.
You know why the school is? You all, school system don't make students feel important. It's the same way I felt in school. School failed students. You can put it on to any CEO you want to, and you can put it a whole list. You can keep firing them over and over and over. But it's the curriculum and it's the way you teach them. First of all, as Black students, the school system has never learned how to teach us. You never got to know us. That's why you don't know how to teach us. The curriculum has need to be changed, and you don't know how to teach us. That's why the kids don't want to come to school, because you don't make us feel important. You spend all the time on students who you think that's going to make it to college. You give them the love, but if you don't think they're going to make it to college, you don't give love. And you know another thing? If you don't like our parents, you don't give us love after all. See, these are the things I can say because I'm an adult, but the children can't say to you, but they feel what you're giving them. That's why they don't want to come to school, because this is what they get. So I'm only telling you this is part of the problem. So you pushes them away on how you act. You don't have to say the words out your mouth. It's the feeling that they get. So I'm trying to tell you, in order to change it, you've got to change. Learn how to teach us before you teach us. That's why these HVAC, electrical and plumbing, because these are some of the great experiences we're going to have, but you kind of have to include other things. It's a lot of us not making the college, but college is not the say all be all. Remember that.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Bozel, you're next up on this question. 2 minutes, Ms. Bozel. Ms. Bozel, we are unable to hear you. We're not hearing you here, Ms. Bozel. We cannot hear Ms. Bozel. I'm going to ask our team to see if we can get in touch with her, and we'll go to Mr. Scott.
I talk to a lot of young kids, and how they describe it is the fact that it is a safety issue, and it's an issue that they feel that they don't have a future. Um, these children feel that why go to school, because they don't have a future after. It is like I said, it is a safety issue because there's a lot of these kids that don't want to go to school because they feel that they can get shot, killed. This is why I do approve of armed officers in schools. to at least give them that security minded that they are being protected. The fact that these children don't feel that they have any tomorrow, this is why don't feel consequences, because they have nothing to lose. We have to give these children something to live for, give them a tomorrow. And the only way you can give these kids a tomorrow is to have pride in their own race. We need to work together to create that Black pride that we lost in the 60s and the 70s. The fact that we control zero in a population of 65% is terrible. And we expect other people to educate our children that don't like us, do not want us to succeed, because we cannot educate our own. Until we're able to educate our own children, we will continue with this problem to the next generation. Thank you very much.
Ms. Bozel, you're up now. Let's hopefully all technology is working. Ms. Bozel, 2 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me now?
We can, yes. Thank you.
All right, great. When our CEO started, Sandalisa, our truancy rate was 38%. Now it's up to 58% in the time that she's been. So leadership can make a difference. But one of the things we can do, or actually 3 things that I want to focus on, is 1, we need to have incentives for our students to come to school. So what other states have done is they partner with their team. So we could have the Ravens, if you have perfect attendance, we can have a Ravens day at the stadium. And then if you have perfect attendance for the second part of the year, we can do an Orioles game. We need to have some incentives for students. But we also have to let parents know that it's a Maryland state law that your kids have to go to school. If they miss 3 days, they could get a fine. I don't want to fine parents, but I want them to know that there's a law in place. And maybe then they would realize that they need to send their kids to school. Then we have another issue. We have kids that are, a lot of issues why they don't come to school. I talk to kids. 1, they don't have a washer and dryer. They have 1 uniform, so they don't want to go to school if their uniform is dirty. I say, forget about the uniforms. I want kids come to school. You want to wear a hoodie? Wear a hoodie. Let's let kids come to school regardless of what they're wearing. Let's get rid of that. Second of all, we have a lot of students, they work. They work to help their families, so they're working at night. We need to end that. We can have a program, it's done in other states. In 9th grade, we'll have our core classes or 9th through 12th, you have your core classes from, say, 8 o'clock to 11. So that way you're getting your credits you need to graduate. But then you can go to a job, go to training, go to a college course. You can do other things to enrich your education.
All right. We're going into question number 8, and this question is a continuation on education. So if you didn't get all of your points out on the previous question, you can continue here in the 2 minutes that are allotted for this question. The question is, it's a simply worded question, but I think will provide some deep answers. What is your plan for improving schools and the education children of Baltimore City receive? So, a continuation on education. The question again, you'll have 2 minutes. What is your plan for improving schools and the education children of Baltimore City receive? First up on this one is Ms. Bozel.
In order to make a positive change in education, we have to run our schools centrally. As I said before, we have 164 schools, and every principal, they have maybe a 2 weeks training budget, runs $10 to $20 million budgets and down to the payroll. We need to take that back. We have to make principals working in the community, working to make sure kids come to school, and making sure their teachers teach. Give them their jobs back. And let's do everything centrally. When you do everything centrally, you can make sure that all the kids, every school is a 21st century school. I worked at a school for 3 years with no heat and no air conditioning, and that is so unacceptable. We have 11 schools now that don't have any air conditioning, and their heating system is almost going to be non-existent, so they really don't have heat either. So we need to work on fixing that. Then after we get all the schools centrally run and we're making sure every school is equitable and has what they need, then we can work on the curriculum. Right now, principals can pick whatever curriculum they want, and nothing is standardized. We have kids that move from one school to another, so we have to make sure that everything is standardized. And then we have an opportunity with, you're right, the majority of our students are African American, and we need to have literature and programs that can enlighten them and spark them and say that, hey, this person can do it, I can do it. So we can work on the curriculum. The other thing that we have to work on is providing opportunities for students. And what that means is engagement, having programs after school, have arts, have gym, have ability for kids to be able to expose to a lot of things. And right now they're not. I think another program that we need
All
to.
right. Thank you. Time's up on that one. Next up for this one, this question, next person, next candidate up is Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, the floor is yours. 2 minutes.
Well, definitely hire more teachers and pay them better. Protect them. Give them the same courtesy of anybody who hurt a teacher is the same as is touching a police officer. We gotta protect our teachers because without our teachers, our kids can't get any education. The fact that you got teachers scared to go to work, scared to go to teach these children because, like I said, they are in harm's way. So we need to protect them better. We need security in the schools. We need so much, and the fact that the public school system is a failed system, we need to change it altogether. We need to privatize our schools, because some fact, we are still looking for people who don't like us to educate our children, and it's not working. Until we able to educate our own, we gonna have the same problem for the next generation and the failed generation. Thank you very much for that question.
Okay. Next up for this question is Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up. 2 minutes, please.
Absolutely the same thing. We have to make our children important. And as well as the parents, you know how it is. The parents drop the kids off and tail home to watch their favorite show. This is serious. This is no more a joke. I expect September that's coming up to open that door the first day of school, to open that door and see all the fathers with the children this September and ready to come in and say, let's see the curriculum of the school year. Let's see how you're teaching our children this time. The parents have to get involved. This is very important. Once again, we have to do this together this time. We can't talk about what we're going to do. We have to do it. Our children are very important. You can see what's happening now. And if we don't do anything, it's only going to get worse. We can't talk about it. We have to be about it. We have to get involved. That means the parents, the teachers, and we have to listen to the children. That's important. We're going to do this together. We really are. We're going to make a difference this time around. All of us.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Next on this one is Ms. Pulley. Ms. Pulley, you're up. 2 minutes, please. 2 minutes.
Children be what they see, and if we don't have educators that look like us, children don't want to be educators. So we have to hire more. If we're in a dominantly black school system, we need black men and black women to step up and take over these educational roles. As far as the curriculum, we want to change the whole curriculum. We want to have a school board that's going to change the curriculum. There's no way on God's green earth we should still be buying our curriculum from over Germany. That does not make sense for us. Another thing is we need a Black curriculum. We need our children to understand their history, where they come from. Children will not respect themselves if we don't know our history. Everybody has their own except for the Black community. And I'm just being frank. We do not have our own nothing, not even education. And I'm going to be the first to say it, and I might lose some votes behind this. The worst thing we could ever did was integrate it, because we had our own educational system. We had our own economic system. And when we fell under their system, then we began to follow the road to demise. So under our administration, we will be incorporating a Black curriculum. We will be incorporating more Black teachers, not foreigners from overseas, and our children don't understand what they're saying. That does not even make sense. Like I said, I still have skin in the game, and you're gonna fail my child because he's not he failed Spanish, but you're not requiring our Spanish our Spanish counterparts to take English, and for them to you're not requiring them to take English, knowing we in the United States. See, certain things does not make sense. Like I said, Yolanda will implement a Black curriculum. Thank you.
Final response for this question comes from Mr. Freeman. Mr. Freeman, you're up. 2 minutes.
Thank you. I agree. I agree with my counterpart about first and foremost, we have to make sure that our teachers look like the students that they're teaching. Right now, 90% of teachers that are in school are Caucasian. That's the issue. So part of my plan is to make sure that we are getting teachers from straight out of college, people that look like the students that they're teaching. But not just that. I touched on it a little bit in my first comment, but I'm gonna touch on it again. We need mental health and social workers in every single school. Right now, that's what we don't talk about. We don't talk about the mental health of our children and what they're dealing with on a daily basis. So as mayor, I want to make that a priority that we invest into the education, mental health, and social workers. But not just that, we're also going to make sure that we're going to take 200 million of that 1.6 billion-dollar budget that we have, and we're going to actually fix the schools up the right way. Because right now our kids are going to school with no heat, no air, and I'm the only candidate in this race who's been in school in the past decade. So what's been going on, with these kids now has been going on when I was in school. That has to change. So that is that's what I would add to that. And once we add those 4 or 5 things that I said, we'll see our education system not only go up, but we'll see our economy grow, because our students will be able to get out from day one they get out of school to be ready to get to work in Baltimore City. Thank you.
Thank you. What I'd like to do for the final question is 2 parts. I'm going to ask that we do 2 things on the final question, and then after all of you have answered your final question, we'll have an opportunity for some rebuttals and comments and questioning of each other. This one, you will have 2 minutes, 30 seconds to respond. The first part of your response is, as mayor, how will you balance the Baltimore city budget? That's part 1. And the next part of that is, while you have the floor, I want you to give your closing statements as well. But again, after everyone has given their answer to the question of, as mayor, how will you balance the Baltimore city budget, along with your closing statements, we will then have some time for rebuttals and responses. 2 minutes, 30 seconds for this round. First up is Ms. Pulley.
So we have to do what make SENSE to the city and not what makes CENTS to them. So we balance the budget by, we have to remove some of those unnecessary offices within City Hall. We have too many deputy mayors. We have too many deputy mayor assistants. It's just too many of everything that people don't even know what's in City Hall. We have to basically destroy the city charter and make it equitable for everybody. People have to pay their fair share in taxes, and they are not. It's time for everyone, every nonprofit, every 501c4 that's grandfathered in under hundreds of years, 99-year contracts, to pay their fair share in city taxes. Like John Hopkins, University of Maryland, they have to start paying their fair share. Another thing is that we have to reevaluate how some of these city services are working. And as going in my first 90 days, I will call for a forensic audit on every last office in Baltimore city government. We will find the missing money. We will find the stolen money. And if it's past administrations that had their hands in this, they have to be held accountable for their crimes too, because these are crimes against the people, and it's not working for us. My name is Yoland Pulley, and I'm running for mayor because we need change. We cannot talk about accountability if we're not talking about integrity. And we need to speak on that. Yolanda will run a tight ship. We do not condone wrongdoing. I should not have to sit here and convince people that they deserve better. We suffer from the worst case of Stockholm syndrome in Baltimore City, but we have options. Your options are who's on this panel and Yolanda Pulley for mayor. We have great ideas. We have great turnarounds. Matter of fact, under my nonprofit organization, I do their job anyway. I go out here and save lives every day. I fight harder for people than they fight for themselves. But yet, I do not use people pain as a platform. So, again, Yolanda Pulley for mayor, integrity, honesty, and dignity will be placed back into City Hall. It belongs to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pulley. Next up, answer to the question about the budget and your final comments, Mr. Freeman, you're up.
So first and foremost, I want to thank you, Mr. Leon and Mr. Wayne, for putting this together, and everybody behind the scenes who are doing the work for this. And like my Yolanda said, we have to. I want every resident to know that's on this live to look at the people that's on this panel. Look at the people who took the time out of our day and time to talk to you and to let you know our platform, because we are. I'm the change agent to move our city forward. But to answer your question, in my first week, one of my first top priority is to do an audit, like Yolanda said, because that is needed. We haven't had an audit done since the Orioles won the World Series back in 1958, and I wasn't even thought of or alive at that time. So with that being said, we have to do an audit of the spending, and so that way we don't have to get into this deficit that we can get in if we don't elect the right mayor this time coming up in the election. Right? That is my plan. Again, my name is Wendell Freeman. I'm a father of two. I have a 7-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter. I'm running for mayor because I know I'm the change agent to move our city to the future. We had three options this election, ladies and gentlemen. We can go back to the old days. We can go back to a corrupt scandal as mayor. We can go back. We can stay where we are, where our trash is picked up on time. Your potholes, our city is in shambles, our education system is in shambles. We're the dirtiest city in America, or we can move forward. And it starts with young, fresh leadership who live in the city, who's born and raised from here, who knows what it takes to get the job done. I'm going to be the same leader I am in business in the mayor's office, and that's going to lead from the front. I'm never going to tell anybody to do anything that I'm not going to do. I'm always going to set the example, because we got to change the narrative. We're going to change the reality. We got to change the standard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Next up on this one is Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott, the floor is yours.
I would definitely ask for an audit, because without that audit, we don't know where the money at, how much money we have, and who took what. So that audit would be the first thing I would call for. And to say that, well, as Black people, we were so much stronger segregated than ever was integrated. We was promised the chance to create wealth for ourselves, but it was denied us. So I would definitely bring that back, give reparations to my people, and show them how to work together as a people. And you don't have to do this alone. We're gonna do this together. by giving you that capability to create wealth and take care of your education, your jobs, your hospitals, your banks. We would have that under my administration. The fact that we at 65% of Baltimore City that don't control nothing. We don't own anything as a people. That will have to stop. We have to build Baltimore back the way it was. We built this city for somebody else. It's time to build this for us because we need to bring pride back to our people. And this is how we do it, by creating our own, taking care of our own, developing and teaching and taking care of our own people. You will find if we was capable of taking care of our own, all the other problems would simply disappear. That's why I'm running for mayor. Thank you very much.
Next up is Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, you're up.
Right. Trade schools. You know, the old Social Security building downtown. That's the first one we turn into a trade school where we can train 10,000 students. We will get the abandoned houses, over 10,000 abandoned houses, work on them. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, auto mechanic, diesel mechanics. After they complete the program, we sell the houses to the students for the price that we got them from the city. That's how we change the dynamics of Baltimore City. The budget, absolutely. We spend over $1 billion in outside contracts. For example, if a pipe busts in your street, the city will come out and assess the issue, and they will give the contract to an outside contractor when the school itself can do that work. So instead of wasting almost $1 billion in outside contractors, we'll get the schools to do the work. See, this is how we can save money and get it done on the inside. We have to think and use what we have from the inside. We waste a lot of money in Baltimore City, a lot of money. That's why we wasting money. But we've got to pull together and use what we've got to make things better. But in order for us to get this done, we've got to do things together. That's why I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City. We've got a plan we've been working on for almost 13 years. So we got opportunities that work. Crime plans don't work. You see things are getting worse in Baltimore City. So we got opportunities instead of crime plans. So join me. I'm Uncle Wayne running for mayor of Baltimore City. But I can't do it alone. It takes all of us to make this work.
Bozel, you're up on this one. Ms. Bozel, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. First, in order to bring some more money into our city, we have to look at for opportunities. And one opportunity that we're really missing out on is our train system. Right now, we don't have anything going between DC and Baltimore after 10 o'clock. And we're missing a lot of money that would be coming, millions of dollars from people who live in DC. So all I have to do is to increase the train to go until 3 a.m. in the morning. That way we can get money from DC residents that'll come for baseball games, events, dinner, and they don't have to be back to the train by 9 o'clock. So they get the 10 o'clock train out. So that's one easy thing to do. The second thing we need to do is to, again, like everyone else says, I'm going to bring an independent auditor in and let's find out where the money is. Where is it going? $40 million is supposed to go to Sandtown, Winchester to address vacant homes, schools, and just to try to make that area better where 60% of the criminals come from. Let's make where they live a better place with opportunities. But that money went somewhere else. So let's find out, where did it go? So there's a lot of opportunities there to figure out where money went. Another thing that we're missing the boat on, we have the Preakness, which is like a Super Bowl. We get attention from national, international, all focused on our city. We need to do what Kentucky does. They bring in 50 $50 million extra revenues from having events all through the city. We have our 150th anniversary of the Preakness coming up, not this year, but next year. So it gives us time to plan events that would benefit all sections of the city, north, east, west, south. Every part could have events. We could have fireworks, parades, things like that. But anyway, they're just small things that we can do to bring more money into our city right away. And I guess in my last 20 seconds, I would just say that I have made a plan to bring students that are educators in Coppin. We have one of the biggest institutions there, that we can bring students that are Black and have them become teachers and keep them here in our city.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. And as we discussed via email, and as I've mentioned here, we're going to allow for some opportunities for questions of each other and rebuttals to things you may have heard. To our production team, we will take this to the top of the hour at 10 o'clock. I do recognize that some of you may have other shows that you need to work a little internal communication going on with our production team. And if that's you, feel free to send us a message and let us know that you're dropping out. And I think we'll have enough producers here to able to take care of things that we need to do. So let's start with Mr. Baker. Was there something that you heard tonight that you'd like further information on, or you have a question about, or you want to challenge or offer rebuttal? Mr. Baker, you're first.
Well, I want to say more about the bridge myself. Is that okay? Can I?
Go right on, sir.
Listen, the bridge thing is something very important for us, because in order for us to have a really productive way of living, we need quality jobs. We need jobs that will carry us through life. And this bridge and it's going to do it for us. The trade school with welding, we can get contract jobs. Most of us don't even know where they are. In order for us to get a quality of life, we got to do better. We do. So together, we're going to work on that. That's what I'm saying. We can't be stuck on something and not move further. We went to a wave of naming the bridge. I understand naming the bridge is a very good thing, but what's the use of naming the bridge if we're not going to get those contract jobs in building the bridge? As Blacks, we got to stop shooting so low. We're intelligent, and it's time to pull together and act like it. Now, I'm going to be, like I said, pushing that. We need contract jobs to make life better for Baltimore. Now, if any one of the mayors want to challenge me, hey, let's bring that on.
Does anyone have a challenge for what Mr. Baker has just articulated, or anything else that he talked about during our 2 hours here? Anyone have anything they want to ask Mr. Baker?
If not, we can move on.
I have a question. It's been bothering me ever since you said it. My question to you is, like, people are actually dying from the air quality in certain parts of Baltimore. Is it the fact that you really, and I want to ask this for Keith Scott too, because he said he too, but for you, I want to know, is that how you really feel? Is it the fact that you don't know enough about the air quality to care, or like that's just like not at the top of your radar? Like you don't care that people are dying in the streets of Baltimore?
I never said I don't care, but I come from where people smoking Newports and everything, and the quality of health is just like not there. I mean, not for me. It's not that I don't care. It's just not top of my list. I mean, people smoke. I mean, their health is just not where they're aimed at. It's not. And if it was really, really bad air quality in Baltimore where it was high on the list, of course. But is it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it a certain area where air quality is the worst? There it is. I mean, come on, people in Baltimore do everything. They smoke Lucy's all day, every day. So where's the worst air quality where we're jumping in this emergency park? I mean, people getting shot and killed list high OD, depression, domestic violence. I mean, I am dealing with this stuff on a regular basis. My phone rings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can see the calls I just missed. And I'm sorry, air quality just don't seem to fit in there. I'm not knocking anyone, but it's just not on the high list of things that I deal with all day, every day. I'm not a bad person, but it's just not in the high list.
Okay. Mr. Freeman, you also questioned Mr. Scott about that. Mr. Scott, let's hear your response to Mr. Freeman's question and statement regarding air quality. Go ahead, Mr. Scott. And it looks like Mr. Scott is not with us.
Is he still with us?
All right, looks like he is not. Let's go to Ms. Bozel. Ms. Bozel, did you hear anything tonight that you wanted to question? Well, Mr. Scott is back. Go ahead, Mr. Scott. Mr. Freeman had something to say about your response to the air quality issue. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Well, like I said, I'll have to agree with Uncle Wayne, because I haven't seen nobody choked to death, but I've seen somebody shot to death, stabbed, murdered in the streets. So I mean, until I actually see somebody actually choke dead in the street, then I start worrying about air quality. I mean, I'm out in the city. I'm out here every day. Okay, like I said, I live in an area that every day I hear gunshots, and the last thing, that's the only thing I don't hear is coughing. I'm like, so the air quality it's a concern, but it's not one of the things on my list. So I don't understand how you're gonna feel that nobody cares. But when that gunshot come through your window, worry about the air coming through that bullet hole. Thank you very much.
All
Can
right.
I respond?
Ms. Pulley, go ahead.
As being a mother of 3 asthmatic children in Baltimore City,
Yeah, right.
I have to totally disagree with air quality not being top priority.
Right.
You know, like I said, in order to heal it, you have to feel it. They don't feel, you know, their children don't have asthma, and Uncle Wayne is absolutely right. We are polluting the air with cigarettes and weed and all this other kind of stuff. So I get it at the end of the day. But at the same time, air quality is what we breathe, what we're breathing in our lungs. Is what's going to kill us eventually. It does not have to be a cigarette. It could be pollution, and it will kill us. So air quality, I mean, just do a little bit of research on it and find out why is it so high on a priority. Because even if my asthmatic children, as we have done, have to run from gun violence, at the end of the day, they still have to go get an inhaler because they can't breathe, because we had to run from gun violence and stuff like that. So it does intertwine with one another.
Ms. Bozel, I heard you commenting about that.
Yeah.
Come on, bring Ms. Bozel on screen.
Yeah, if I could just piggyback on Yolanda, my daughter also has asthma, and you're right. And I've been many times, I have to take her to the hospital because she can't breathe. And I am a home and hospital teacher, which means I have to teach kids that are now trapped in their homes because they can't go out because their asthma is so bad. In Baltimore City, we have double the amount of asthma that would be in the whole country. We have double the amount of kids that have it. And that needs to stop. And the biggest reason is the Bresco incinerator. It burns our recycling, which means it's burning plastic. Not only is our air quality causing asthma, it also gives us one of the highest percentage of cancer rates in our city. People move out of our city because of the Bresco incinerator and how horrible our air quality is. Our mayor signed a contract that would keep that incinerator going for another 3 or 4 years. When I become mayor, I'm going to do everything I can so that we get out of that contract and we go to zero emissions and zero trash. So we can, I know that there's a pushback about using, what is the third thing I want to do is to have recycling trash, and that we actually have a way to get rid of our trash and not pollute our city. And we can do that.
But it was, never mind. Never mind. Let's go a little further. Don't mind. I don't even want to go there. You just keep going.
All right. Ms. Bozel, we're going to come to you next. Was there something you heard this evening that you'd like to comment on or challenge? We've talked about the air quality. What else? Is there something else that you may have heard that you'd like to challenge or ask of one of the other candidates, Ms. Bozel?
Well, I've heard a lot about reparations, and I think we have to have a more concrete way to do that. And one way that I'd like to propose and see what people think is right now, people can use their rental assistance to pay landlords that they live in deplorable conditions, lead paint, rats. Yolanda showed me some wonderful pictures, and I'm tired of that. I want people to be able to use their rental assistance to use that to purchase a home, and not then after 30 years they no longer are renting, they actually own a home, and that's going to give generational wealth that can be passed on to their children. And that's what we're missing, the passing on of generational wealth. So if I get some comment on that, I really appreciate it.
Definitely gonna get some comment on that.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, who's first on that one? Come on now.
Go ahead. Let's go. Ms. Pulley first, then Mr. Baker. Ms. Pulley.
Okay, so when we're speaking of reparations, we're not talking about reparations for everybody. We're talking about the harm that was done to our Black people, that was marginalized, that was redlined and filibustered outside their own home. My grandparents was the one that migrated from the South and paid 3 times the amount for their house under a VA loan, because my grandfather was a veteran. He paid 3 times the amount of his house for his white counterparts. Everybody else got their 40 acres and a mule. We're the ones who received nothing. So when we're talking about reparations, we're talking about for Black people, you can already take a voucher and buy a house. That's already a thing under Section 8. So it's just the way that they implement it. It's a 5-year program that that you have to follow, and people are not willing to follow that 5-year program. Number 2 is, how many candidates on here know about our Black history and how we were done in this city? We should not be running for a mayoral seat if we do not understand the Black history of Baltimore, how the educational system did not just fail this generation. It failed generations before us. The same educational system that failed us failed our grandparents, our parents, and future generations before. Those things right there, reparations and everything, need to be held. People have to be held accountable for their crimes. I don't care what color they are. Like I said, you have to understand the Black history. How many of us on here know how to get rid of the city charter? Just when Wendy said something about the Willabrator. How do you get rid of the Willabrator? No, you don't go back in and renegotiate. No, you do not. You destroy the city charter. You start over. The Constitution says that if we do not agree with what our government is doing for us, we have the right to do it over. Thank you.
Mr. Baker, you're up now, and then we'll go to Mr. Scott. Mr. Baker, go ahead.
I'm going to bow out gracefully on this one. I'm going to allow others, because this is just not one I'm going to tackle. So anyone else can take this one. I'm going to bow out gracefully.
All right, Mr. Scott, your turn. The floor is yours, Mr. Scott.
Available for people already on public assistance, not people with jobs. People with jobs are suffering is more than anybody else, because we pay taxes and don't benefit of nothing our taxpayer money is paying for. So vouchers is not going to help me because I have a job. They say I make too much money. Where I live is I pay too much rent. Okay. Now the fact that yes, reparations is necessary, because simple fact, we was never gave the opportunity to create wealth for ourselves. They broke us up into individuals that made us struggle individually. We need to work together as a people, and reparations will do that. Reparations would give us the opportunity to create wealth as a people, not just individuals. This show, all they do is show us individual successes. They never show us successes that how we did as a people. Right? Wall Street was how many cities been destroyed because we did accomplish the impossible, and created the community that we supposed to be in, and we got destroyed. How many times that happened? This is why until we get our fair share, we're gonna have these problems. We're gonna have the education problem. We're gonna have the crime problem. We're gonna have just about every kind of problem that happened to Black people if we do not stick together and get reparations. And I'm gonna give you that reparation right now because we need that reparation to actually improve our whole race. We've been destroyed generation after generations, and that's gotta stop.
I
Thank
agree
you.
100%.
Let's go to
I just
Mr.
want to
Freeman.
comment
Mr.
real quick.
Freeman, your turn to respond to this one.
Great. I just wanted to say this. I believe that I'm with reparation 100%, but I believe it starts on a federal level. And I agree with Ms. Pulley about the fact that this is something that we should have been got decades ago. This is something that we shouldn't even ask. And we have our federal partners. Every president has done nothing for us, but they want our vote. So for me, my stance on that, it starts with the federal government doing their part, and then I feel like the state and the local can follow behind that.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 minutes remaining. 2 minutes. I'm going to allow if you have anything you'd like to add as a final closing statement, 30 seconds before we sign off. And on my screen, I see Mr. Scott to the left. Mr. Scott, we'll go with you. 30 seconds, final statement. Go ahead, sir.
And the mayor of Baltimore can do this and give reparations because this is what I would do. Okay, we can give all these condemned properties to the Black community so they can develop it and create that wealth we need to carry on to the next generation. This is one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor, to get Black people together, to work together and create a future for our the next generation so they can carry off the work. Thank you very much. I'm running for mayor. My name is Keith Scott. KeithBScottForMayor.com. Check me out. I do have a nice video that you should look at, and I hope you see it. Thank you very much to be your mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Baker, again, 30 seconds.
I am Uncle Wayne running for mayor. I am not your average candidate. I am actually running for mayor because it is time to get out of this mess of Baltimore City. We've got a beautiful city, but together we can make a difference. It's our time, y'all, and it's our turn. Look for Be More For Real podcast, and I will fill you in. Keep me in your prayers, you all.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Freeman, you're up. Your turn. 30 seconds closing, please.
Yeah, I just want to thank all my fellow candidates and you guys for putting this event together. This was a very great debate. I learned a lot from a lot of you guys, and I got love for a lot of you guys. But I just want to say this. At the end of the day, we got three options. Our three options coming up to election. Let's pick the right choice this time. You can go on our website at wendellfreeman.com, donate, volunteer. We need your voice to keep spreading this message. We are less than 30 days away. Let's change Baltimore together, and let's do it in unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Pulley, you're up. 30 seconds, please, Ms. Pulley.
I will apologize for being Black and having a Black agenda. That's what I will not do. We know the harm that was done to our Black individuals in this city, and that's what needs to be fixed. If you want to do something with crime and education, you have to fix what was done to the Black generation. I'm not going to apologize. I will not. We need more ones that look like us. In order to heal it, in order to heal it, you have to feel it. And we have to do what makes sense. And what makes sense is us fixing the generation of Black people. That's how you end crime. In that generation, you have to fix that right there. Another thing is we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Who's
That's
insane?
the 30 seconds. The 30 seconds has ended. 30 seconds has ended. Thank you. Ms. Bozel, you have the final 30 seconds. Go ahead, please.
Hi, thank you. I'm Wendy Bozel, and I am a Baltimore City teacher. I'm there every day teaching your kids, and education and crime go hand in hand, and I will fix it so that every school is a great school and a good choice for your child. And once we have that, then we'll have a change in our whole city. Education and crime.
I'd like to thank our production team for your outstanding work. Thank you, team, for what you did tonight. Thank you. So fortunate to have a great team working with us at the Leon Thomas Group. Again, Mr. Baker, thank you. I am glad we met. And it's very unique
Absolutely.
how we met. But thank you for organizing this and letting everyone know of our desire to help get all of your messages heard. Y'all have presented some great ideas tonight that the citizens of Baltimore need to hear.
Absolutely.
Someone texted me during this broadcast and they asked what part of the city I live in. The answer is I do not live in Baltimore City. However, what happens in the city affects me. It impacts me. And so I care about our city. I'm asking everyone that has watched, you can always click on the link to the YouTube. It's on my Facebook, it's out there. If you're watching, rewatch. If you're watching and you heard something tonight that's intriguing, reach out to these candidates to learn more about them.
Mhm. Mhm.
I want to ask you to research them, learn more about them. You have options in who you vote for. Share the debate with your friends and help them become more informed voters. And encourage everyone in your circle to vote in the primary election on May 14th and the general election on November 5th, but also ask them to be informed. Ask
Absolutely.
everyone to be informed. Candidates, my team and I thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for being here. Thank you for the conversation. And with that, we'll sign off. I'm Leon Thomas with the Leon Thomas Group. To learn more about us, and some of you may want to watch the Republican debate that I will be moderating next Tuesday, the 23rd. You can get a link to that on our website, theleonthomasgroup.com. Again, thank you to all and have a good evening.